Hello guys, today I will be taking you through Microsoft Access queries, and I want us to go through various challenging points on queries. Therefore, to start with, as you know, you have to create a table for you to be in a position to do queries. Therefore, we go to tables there. Then we create our table. Our table, we have the admission number. Then we shall have the student name. Then we shall have the student class. Then we shall also have the fees paid. Then we shall have the fees payable. Then we shall have the balance. Then it's also important to include the term. That is the term. Then up here we just switch this one to primary key, and we can have it as number. We shall have this one as a number, the primary key. Then student class fees, this we can have the currency. This one remains, and for this case here we can save this table of ours as student details. Then we need to set this one as term 1, term 2, term 3. Therefore, we just go to lookup wizard here. We choose combo, we choose value list, then we put this one under quotes. We have term 1, then semicolon, another quote, term 2, close the quotation mark, semicolon, term 3, that way. Then after doing that, if you are keen, you realize that these ones will be displayed when we run our data table in datasheet view. Therefore, we save that one, go to home, then view. Therefore, when you go to view, this is what we have in that. Now you can choose the terms, term 1, term 2, term 3 here. Then you allow me to copy some data from somewhere different. Therefore, we just go to our Excel, then we can copy this data here. Copy, then we paste that data in between inside here. Therefore, that is the data we have. Then we can go to class. For the class, we can just have to include this one. Like for instance, you can have 4B, that one, and then you can have 3. Then we have these 2. We want to duplicate that one. If we can still now duplicate this. Copy, paste this one in Microsoft, that is class. We paste there. Then the next thing I want us to have the fees paid. We can just get the fees paid and payable here. Copy this. We just go to Excel to Access now. Microsoft Access. We have fees. Now this is the fees. This is the fees paid. We can just put the fees paid here. Then we go to and get the fees payable. The fees payable should be equal to all students because they are on the same school. That is the assumption. Therefore, so far this is what I have. Then we can include the term. We can change sum to term 2. Sum to term 2, sum to term 3. That way. Therefore, for this one, we can have the first ones there. Then we have term 2. Then you can copy that one. Again, we paste that. Then we have this one copy, we paste it in our access. We are just trying to save on time. This one can be 2, 1, this can be 2, 2, term 3. Then you can also have term 3, you can also have term 1 that way. Then we go back to design view of this table of hours. We include gender. Gender is very important. Gender. Then we go to this point lookup, which choose this one as combo, this one as value list. Then we have male, then semicolon, female, male and female, that way. Then we save that one and then go to our table datasheet view. Therefore, this is what we have. Okay, for the gender, we can still choose. We can just have the gender. We mix the genders just to make work easy. That way. Therefore, for this one, we can have this one as Jane. Then we go to this one, we can have this one as Michelle. Then we can have this one as Damaris. Then we can have this one as Angui. Then this one can be somebody like Joyce. This one can be Benita. This one can be Berinda, so that we can have correct data. Now, this is the data we have, and I want us to go through various concepts of queries. And for that case, we cross this one. We shall start by looking on how we group data in queries and how we can perform average, how we can perform other calculations. Therefore, basically just go to create, we go to create, then we go to query design. Then this is what we have. We double click our table. Then in our query design down here, if I can zoom this one, we just have the admission number. We can have the student name, class, fees paid, fees payable. Then you can have balance, can have term and gender. Therefore, if I save this one as student 1 query, you realize that my data is there, and therefore I can just go to design and view. This is what I have. Now I want us to first of all calculate the balance. Then once you calculate the balance, we can now go to grouping according to average, according to gender, according to term, etc. Therefore, I just right click here, I go to design view. Now to calculate the balance here, you need to go to where the balance is. In queries, we don't use equal sign, we use semicolon. Therefore, this is fees. It is fees payable minus fees paid, that way. Therefore, once you do that, this is the formula to calculate the balance. Therefore, when I now go to design and run, you realize that my balance has been calculated. Therefore, my balance has been calculated, as you can see there. Therefore, you see this is the balances. Like for instance, it has subtracted this one and this one. Now, on the other hand, I want us to group students, that is according to gender and according to that is the fees paid or the fees balances. We can either use this one. We sum up and see students who are female and their balances, that is their total balances, that is in terms of fees. Therefore, you can just go and group that one. Therefore, I will just go back to I go to design view. Therefore, from this point, you just go to design. Now, once you go to design, there is this button here, total. You hit this button. Once you do that, you realize that we have created a total group by, group by, group by. For this case, I don't want to use all of that. Therefore, I want to classify students, that is group students according to gender and according to fees balances. Therefore, basically, you just bring the cursor here until you get a black arrow. Then you can highlight and press delete on your keyboard. For that case, what Microsoft Access does, it calculates it groups by from your left hand side going this way. That means it will group by balances, then by term, then by gender. But I just want to group balances by gender. Therefore, I just come to this point. Then I delete this. Now, I want to group balances by sum. Therefore, the computer or Microsoft Access will add up the sums according to gender, then group them by gender. Therefore, for that case, let's run save our query, then go to design and run. Therefore, you realize that Microsoft Access has understood our point. It has grouped fees balances in terms of total grouped by gender. Therefore, male the group of male has a total of balances, fees balances, this one, US dollar 135. Female group has a total of 91. Therefore, this is exactly what I wanted us to understand. Then let's go even further and go back to design view. Then let's go even further and create a query where we shall group classes, that is classes and their totals. Therefore, we just go to create, then we go to query design, we double click this one. Then what we need to do here is to take the variables we want. We want to have the class here. This is the class. Therefore, I want the class, then grouped by fees, that is grouped by fees paid. And for that case, we just go to design, then you go to total. Now, once you go to total, you have made your query into a total query. Therefore, you can see we have introduced group by. And for that case, we want to group by class, then fees paid by sum. Therefore, you want to see the sum of different classes, the way it has been paid. And therefore, for that case, you just run this query here. And once you do that, you realize that we have access, or by use of the query, 3B have paid a total of that is sum of fees paid. 3B has paid a total of 20K, 3M 62, 4B this way, and 4M this way. You can even go further and group them by class, by gender, and then you can see the female students have paid this, the male students have paid this. Therefore, that's how you use the group by. Now, we can also go further and want to have the total. Like, for example, I want to see the total paid here. I want to display the total here. Therefore, what you do when the query is on running mode or the datasheet view, you hit home, then you hit this button here, total. Therefore, you'll notice that total has been displayed here. Therefore, you only need to click here, then choose the parameter sum, and there we are. Therefore, you realize that the total of all fees paid has been displayed for me here by a click of a button. Therefore, this is how you calculate totals in groups. Then, on the other hand, we can save that one and then they call it total query. We can still go ahead and look at how we can perform other functions. Like for instance, we can create another query, create, then we go to query design, then double click this, then have everything included. That is every field included. We have every field included. Now assume we save this one as we can call this one as increment. Now assume a situation whereby the fees has been raised by 20%. That is, fees payable has been raised with 20% or 25%, and we want to calculate the balances. Therefore, for that case, we shall just go to increment. We look at how to calculate increment. We can just remove this field to create more space. Therefore, we can just come here and type increased fees or new fees payable. Therefore, new fees payable should be fees payable multiplied by the raising percentage, that is 50%, and that one will be 1.5. You convert it to decimal, and therefore this one will become fees payable multiplied by now 1.5, that is 150%. That way. Then make sure this is hit. This one is hit. Then from there we can just go and run our query. That way we shall see the increased fees payable. It is no longer 25k, but now that 7,500. Now we want to calculate the new balances. Therefore, the new balances will be the new fees payable minus fees paid. Therefore, you can just go and do that one. That is design view. Therefore, I'll just go to this point, then calculate the new balances. We calculate the new balances, and therefore for the new balances will be new fees payable minus fees paid. There we are, and therefore fees paid is here, fees paid. Then from there we can just go back and run our query to see the new balances. Therefore the new balances are as follows. We have subtracted 37 minus whatever the student has paid, and therefore you can be in a position to see that this is the fees paid, this is the new fees paid. We have seen how an increment is done, and therefore in case you are reducing the fees by a certain percentage, you would have done the same. That is, the new fees is the new fees times now the percentage of that is the percentage of the new fees. Then on the same note, if I wish to group the fees paid here, that is, we group the fees paid, we can copy this query and do that one. We just right click, copy, then right click, paste. Then we can just call this one average of. Now this average of, we right click, go to design view, we reduce. I want us to group class, that is to group the fees paid. Therefore I just remove these ones, the unwanted fields. I delete. I also delete this. Now what I want us to do, I want us to group fees paid vis-a-vis now the student class, but in average. Therefore, we just go to design, then we hit this button, total. Now, once you hit that one, you turn your query to total query. Therefore, I just come here, group by students class, but this time around here, I want it by average. Therefore, I choose average. Then I save that one. Then I just go to design and then run. Therefore, this is the average. This will be the average of the fees paid. Therefore, you can still do this one. Then on the other hand, I want averages of averages here. Therefore, I just go home. Then I hit this button here. Then this time round here, I will choose average. Then I'll be in a position to I'll be in a position to have the averages. And probably if I want to count this one, I can just hit count. And then you see now I will have the 4. It has counted 4 and it has calculated for me that is the average. And on the other hand, still you may wish to reduce the decimal places here. You just go to design view. Then on fees paid here, you right click, then go to properties. Now once you go to properties, this dialog box here comes. Therefore this one you can just choose fixed. Then decimal places you can put 0. Let me zoom out, you see what happens. Therefore this is the property sheet. You just go to format, you put fixed, then 0. Then you can save your work. Remember what I have done, I have just right clicked on that point. Therefore you see from this point, I have been in a position to fix the decimal places. There are no decimal places because I have set the decimal places to 0. Therefore these are some of the tricky part of doing queries, calculations, and actually performing group, that is the groups and calculating totals in Microsoft Access queries. Therefore you can practice on that so that you can be in a position to perform all the calculations. Then before probably we go away, you can still try to sort. Like for instance, I want to sort these ones. I have grouped them, but I want to sort them according to either ascending order or descending order. Therefore you utilize the sort field here. Like now I want them in ascending order. Therefore I can still do that. Go back to, you can cross this, go back to design, then run. Therefore you don't notice that now they are arranged according to descend, that is ascending order. And for that case, it's also very important. Like for example, let's see how we can now utilize this criteria here. Like for instance, we want to produce students who comes from 3M. Therefore, just go to where criteria is, then student class, we want 3M. Therefore, you just type the criteria there, the one you want, then you just run. And therefore, for that case, you realize that you have only produced students who come from 3M. Then, on the other hand, you may wish to have students who come from 3M and have cleared the fees. Therefore, you just go to design view. Then criteria here is 3M. Then you go to fees paid. Fees paid. Now fees paid is, you just type 25,000 because that is to show that the student has cleared the fees. Therefore, you just type that. Then go to design view and then run. And then you get that we have only one student who have cleared the fees and comes from 3M. Then if you want to view everybody, then you have to remove 3M. You want to see all students who have cleared the fees. Therefore, for that case, you just go to type criteria and then type that, then run, and therefore you can be in a position to see we have 4 students who have cleared the fees. Therefore, that's how you do calculations in Microsoft Access queries. And remember to subscribe if you haven't done so, and also watch my other videos in about Microsoft Access queries. I have dropped the link below this video. And therefore, thank you very much for watching. See you in my next video.